Welcome to Satsang. Welcome to those online as well. We have an important announcement actually. This is the last week we'll be having Satsang here. It will still be weekly and it'll be at Helen's. If you don't know the address, it's all on the website, or come and see me after Satsang and let you know where it is. It's not far from here. So that's from next Thursday. I think you've all been before, so I won't go too much into the housekeeping, except to say we must leave quietly and stay on topic after Satsang, please. Satsang as normal, we'll start with Helen giving a talk, and then any questions can be asked. If you have a question online, just email into evolutionofspirit@gmail.com and we'll ask it at the next available Satsang. Wait to be invited to ask questions, and if you can stay, no eating and stay in the room, please. Tomorrow we've got lunchtime Satsang at Helen's, 11 till 1. We've now got the next intensive booked, which is May the 17th. It's been extended, it's 11 till 4 now. We never seem to have enough time at them, so we've got another hour in, which will allow for extra whatever sessions we decide to do, but also it'll give a little bit more time for darshan, which I think was one of the things that people missed out on this time. The next Dissolving the Ego course is booked now, April, the 4 Tuesdays in April, which is the 7th, 14th, 21st and 28th. New venues for both of those events, so please see the website or come and have a chat and I can show you it on the website. The Dissolving the Ego course and the Satsang Intensive, you can join online and they're interactive, they're by video conferencing, so you can ask a question live. It's not like this where you sit and listen, have to email in. You can actually ask a question via video conferencing. It was very successful, the last course and the intensive. So sign up when you're ready. The Dissolving the Ego course, it's basically it's based on Helen's experience of waking up, which is an interesting story in itself. It helps you remove blockages to just move beyond the mind. And most people in this room have done the course and you're able to attend it again. And it is phenomenal. And who wants more peace, love and joy? Who doesn't? And an end to suffering. It is amazing. I'm talking to a lot of converted in the room, but if there's anyone online who hasn't done it or anyone's interested, just let us know. The Sangha support group online is on the 15th of March, and that again is interactive. If you're feeling isolated, if you feel you can't connect with other people, that you haven't got anyone to talk to about your journey, it's a great way to interact. Gainer runs it, and that is video conferencing as well. Helen also offers one-to-one sessions, and she has a number of books that are available online on Amazon, but also we have them at all the events. We also have the shop, which we do plan to put online, which would be great. The shop and donations really help keep things free for Satsang. At the moment, obviously we're here. We are looking to hire a room and donations will be much appreciated. I think that's it. So enjoy your Satsang. Helen will be starting in a moment. And if you have any questions or you want any more information, all the details are on the website, helenhamilton.org, or email it for any other information. Enjoy your Satsang.
Do you want to move forward? Yes. Could you? I don't bite, promise. Namaste. So welcome everyone to Satsang, and welcome everyone online as well. So what is Satsang and why are we here? And what is the purpose of gathering in such a group? It's really, Satsang has been held for as long as there have been people, really. And it is about realizing, first of all, and then living as that deeper being that we really are. We all know intimately the human part of our human being. But how many of us can say that we know intimately our being, our consciousness, our self, our real self? And then can we say that we are living from that? You know, can we say that that is our routine experience? And so Satsang is for that, for discovering what we actually are, and then to begin to live as that in an ever deepening way. It's a work in progress for most of us. And why would we want to do that? Why would we want to exchange this idea of ourselves for something different? Why would we want to exchange being a someone for being nobody or nothing? It's kind of the highest insult, isn't it, to a human being, you know, to say you're nothing, you know. But it is the simplest experience of all, and it is the highest experience of all, to be nobody, to be nothing. Vastly underrated in the human kingdom, what it's like to be nobody. And yet everyone that has lived as nobody and nothingness has left a mark on this planet that nobody can forget. So it's worth trying out, and that's really what I want to do tonight. I want to do an exercise which you can keep as an exercise and you can go back afterwards if you like, or you could just stay like that. One of the simplest pleasures of all as a human being is being completely empty of mental noise, of congestion up here. You know, we get congested sinuses, we take medication, or we do certain things to decongest. If our house gets cluttered, we might eventually get around to decluttering and throwing stuff out. When do we ever do that within our consciousness? You know, when do we ever look at what thoughts we're holding on to that might not be true for us or anyone? And the highest experience any human being can have is also the simplest, to not know. It's a strange way to live at first, because as human beings we're cultured to want to know, to have to know. Right from the very first moment we have this body, we're wanting to try to know how to work it. And then we're gathering knowledge to find out about ourselves, but really we're finding out about our body. We're finding out about our mind. And our mind becomes this very cluttered thing. So much so that there's so much mental noise in there that most of us, we don't have any break from that. We don't have any peace at all. And when we're on a spiritual pathway, if we find ourselves in satsang, we might be just as cluttered, in fact, more, because we have all our worldly bag of knowledge on one shoulder. You know, all the things I think I need to know for my life. And then on this shoulder, we have another bag, all my spiritual knowledge about the self, about myself, about the awareness, about this path or that practice or this particular form of meditation. And over time, this just kind of gets added to and added to and added to, and it begins to weigh us down. And it's all based on this assumption that there is something that as human beings we can come to know here that's going to give us peace. You know, that's going to somehow magically, there'll be one thing I come to know, and that will change my entire experience. And like most things, it's actually the opposite completely, you know. And the highest state of all, which isn't really a state, is to not know anything at all. So I'd like to invite you into this experience with me tonight, if you'd like to follow along. And it's really just to start by not knowing. Whatever thought comes into your awareness while we're doing this experiment, exercise, whatever you want to call it, we're just going to not know. We're not going to immediately grab anything and assume that it's true. And the more that we don't know, the simpler our experience becomes, the more energy we free up, and the more peace we naturally feel. So we can start by just not knowing why we're here in satsang. Simple thing to start with. But if we're sure we're here to find peace, if we know that satsang is going to bring us peace, we can, in this moment, just not know that. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know, and I don't need to know. It's okay not to know. I don't know why I'm here in this room or watching this online. And I don't know why I'm here at all. If we'd like to just throw all that out. And really we're just returning back to where we started as infants, but consciously. We'll still have all our knowledge if we need it in a moment. If we need to remember where we left our car keys, or if we need to remember what time we have to be at work, that will all be there. So if you want to throw out some more knowledge, don't know anything at all about awakening in this moment. Don't know how to do it. Don't know how not to do it. Forget about any practice you've done up until this point, just for this time that we're here in satsang. Just allowing yourself to not know the answer to anything. Don't know that you're a seeker or a finder. Don't know that you're on a pathway. These thoughts may come in. Just allow them to come and go. I'm not going to cling on to anything. Don't know that you're a woman or a man. Don't know that you're British or Japanese or American or whatever you are. Don't know. Perhaps for the first time in your entire existence, you might be able to just not know anything about yourself at all in this moment. Don't know what peace is. Don't know what ego is. Don't know what self is. Parabrahman, the absolute, pure awareness, consciousness. Don't know anything about it at all. Don't know for a moment that you're on a journey somewhere, and certainly don't know where you're headed, where the destination is. Don't know how long you've been seeking. Don't know that you're awake or unawake. Don't know that you are enlightened or unenlightened. Don't know that you're worthy or unworthy. Don't know anything about yourself at all in this moment. Don't hold any concept tightly. And then, if you want to throw out more knowledge for this moment, you can pick it all back up again after. Don't know anything about the world. Don't know anything about your relationships, your finances. Don't be sure of anything at all. Just testing out how it feels to not know, to really imbibe and allow your body to feel what it's like to not have these bags full of knowledge. Just forget whatever is there inside you. Forget that. Don't know. Don't be so sure. If you can't completely forget, just don't be so convinced and sure. Just allow some space for these concepts to come and go. Don't know that there's any reason to be here listening to this at all. If there's anything you're going to get out of it. Don't know that this is difficult or easy to do. And as you're throwing out these concepts, some may come and knock at the door again of your consciousness. But just notice how it feels to not pick them up, how it feels to be completely not knowing anything at all. As if everything you've ever learned since you started this journey, called life, called your life, is just left aside for a moment. There is no knowledge that is worth keeping in your head. Nothing at all. Not even the highest knowledge of what it is to be the self, of what it takes to be, to recognize and become. All of that can be thrown out in this moment. Don't know anything at all. Don't know your own name just for a second. Don't know your history. Don't know your future. Don't know where you're headed. Don't know your purpose. Don't know what plans you have at all. Nothing. The highest and yet the simplest experience of all is to not know. Just rest in this not knowingness. How does it feel to just forget everything for a moment? To not carry around this luggage that we call my history, my future. How does it feel to put down for a moment my spiritual pathway, all of those ideas, my awakening, even these prized concepts? Don't know for a moment that there's somewhere to get to and see how you feel. And don't know that you're not there yet. And don't know that you are there yet. Don't know that you're a human being. Don't know that you're formless. Don't know anything at all. have no idea what ego is, what mind is. Allow your body to feel, to acknowledge how this feels, to be empty of concepts. The simplest state a human being can ever live in and as. That which is not a state, in which all states appear. So when we don't know anything at all, when we don't know anything at all, we'll know nothing. We'll know the nothingness that we actually are. We'll know the emptiness, the pure awareness, whatever you want to call yourself. That which just knows can exist and does exist when there's nothing to know. When we're empty of things to know, we can recognize the knower itself. That which just is and is just watching. And it can be totally functional without anything to know at all. The more things we know about ourselves, the more concepts we're holding on to, the more limited we're going to feel, the more tired we're going to feel, the more depressed we're going to feel. This is why it's called enlightenment, because we're enlightening ourselves of all these heavy concepts. And if you enjoy this feeling of not knowing, recognize its utter simplicity. I just don't know, as if my entire consciousness is just an empty question mark. I don't know. And I also don't know that I need to know. Not knowing anything at all is our natural state. In that not knowingness, there's a clarity and a simplicity and a peace. And even if concepts arise, mind is making suggestions, this isn't getting you anywhere, you won't be able to do this later when you're at home, not sure you're doing this right, all the things that mind may say. You can just allow those to arise. What if you, for this moment, don't know even those things? Just don't be sure of anything at all. Completely vacant, empty. The lights are on in your house and nobody is home at all. Every concept we pick up and hold on to just clutters our house and our energy. In this not knowing state, anything that you need to know in any particular moment to function in your life is going to spontaneously arise, effortlessly in that free space. There really isn't many things that we need to know as a human being. In fact, there isn't anything that we need to know as a human being. It's possible to live your life from this empty place completely. You don't need to pick up concepts just because we're moving around. We're quite capable of going to my car even when I don't know which my car is. Your body will just walk to your car and your house. Your body will move through your entire existence from that place. So those beings that have really, really not known anything at all have so come to love how it feels. That they have devalued knowledge, mental knowledge, even and especially knowledge about the self, about the noumenon, about the pure awareness, even this highest knowledge of all. They've come to rest in this place. I don't know what I am at all. I don't know anything. And it's supremely peaceful, free, open. And as you watch your life from this place, it will just spontaneously unfold. Everything that needs to happen will happen. But you won't be a traveler carrying this heavy bag of concepts where I need to arrive to and what my life needs to look like and who I need to become and all of this knowledge. This is never going to be fashionable in the world, not knowing anything. But here in Satsang, it's the height of fashion to just discard all of our knowledge. And the more that you do this, the easier and easier it is to stay empty. Some thoughts you'll pick back up again temporarily, some concepts. And you can just not know again. I don't need to know. I don't need to know anything. And the wisest beings that have walked this planet, although they seem to be full of knowledge, they don't know anything at all. They don't know about themselves. They don't know about you. They don't know about the world. They don't know about the self. They don't know anything about enlightenment, awakening, truth. And yet they're constantly and continuously discovering that truth. Living in that moment, finding out what it actually is rather than knowing about it. Recognize how it feels to just declutter your consciousness, to drop it all, to not have to be constantly in gear, on the go, ready to be tested with our bag of knowledge. There is no final exam in Satsang or in life. There's nothing you need to know or memorize that's going to bring you happiness. Even the highest knowledge to come to know with a conviction what I am will have to be forgotten eventually. The peace to go even deeper. All of our knowledge we can't even take into deep sleep. And that is where we are the most peaceful of all, most people. Imagine how peaceful you feel if you just don't know, even in the waking state. Has it really got us anywhere anyway, knowing all this stuff? Has it really brought us any peace? So you come to value what it feels like more to be empty of concepts and context and content. And you come to value being this rather than knowing about it. Living from that place where you don't know at all what's going to happen in the next moment. You don't know anything about this moment. You're willing to not know what the future holds. It's not a very popular idea in human consciousness. And yet it's so peaceful. In the very moment you don't know anything, the nothingness presents itself, becomes obvious, the emptiness that you are, the intangible formlessness that is you, the space in which all these concepts are floating around. Noticing that when you're sitting here not knowing anything, your body's still breathing, your heart's still pumping, your senses are still functioning, everything's still working. You haven't forgotten to breathe or any of that. Now life will go on just the same way, spontaneously unfolding in this emptiness, this space of our consciousness. After a while of not knowing, you forget how to know something. You forget how to know any particular thing. And you're actually discovering what everything is in each moment. Take a moment just to feel what it's like to not know and to not need to know. Where else in your life is this going to be valued? Can you make your life into a satsang? Can you make your whole existence into a discovery of what you are? Can you bear to be without your bag of concepts for a moment or for a lifetime? Instant freedom. Just to not know. Do you have to pick up these concepts again as you walk out this door or you leave the room, whichever room you're in? Does anything have to change just because your body moves or talks or goes to work? Or may your life function better when there's space inside you for any concept that needs to arise. If you're not trying to remember everything about your life, then what needs to be remembered will just come in that moment. So this is how all the sages have lived, from this place of utter simplicity. Not knowing any particular thing, you come to know the nothingness. the no-thingness that we are, that which just knows and doesn't need to know anything, the knowingness itself. If this is the first time that you've done this, it might be good to check in and really notice how your body feels. Are you more or less tense when you know nothing? Do you feel better or worse when you know nothing? Are you sure that you're going to have to pick all this stuff back up again? This isn't a difficult thing that we've done, just to not know, to forget. It's quite natural for human beings. You started off this life this way, completely empty of concepts, discovering as you go, and you were happy. It's totally an abnormal state of consciousness to have to hold on to all this stuff. But we've gotten so used to doing it that we don't realize how much it's costing us energetically. And yet, in deep sleep, a few moments of deep sleep per night is enough to fuel our whole waking state. Just a few moments of emptiness is enough to power our whole day before we have to sleep again. Imagine how you're going to feel after a day or a week or a month of not knowing. The extra energy, everything begins to be more alive. Your senses get an upgrade. Your life gets an upgrade. Everything gets an upgrade. You'll fall so in love with not knowing. You'll still function. If somebody asks you your name, you won't say, I don't know. You'll just tell them. Your mouth will just say the words. Somebody asks you what you do for a living. I don't know anything at all. Well, it won't be like, inside it will be like that. Outside it will be, oh, this is what I do. All that will just function automatically. You don't need to keep things here to be able to live your life. In fact, the more we keep up here, the less our life flows. Just see what it's like, if you like this feeling, to walk out the door tonight like this, and to go to bed like this, and to wake up in the morning like this. And it can be your little secret. You're at work tomorrow, everybody knows so much about themselves. They're sure that they're not good enough. They're certain that they're not who they want to be. They're certain that they certainly haven't arrived where they need to be. Inside, you don't know anything at all. And yet, amazingly, your body will just nod and agree and say what needs to be said. So it may seem paradoxical that some of the wisest beings that have walked this planet have completely not known anything at all. But that's how it is. Whatever I know about myself, I'm going to keep experiencing over and over again. And its opposite, over and over again. Living from this place of not knowing, I experience spontaneity and freedom and passion about life again, excitement, energy, vitality, wisdom. Not recycled mental wisdom, but fresh stuff in every moment. So try this on, see if it fits, if you like it. Try before you buy. I will give you a warning though, there is a downside to this. If you keep doing this for just 3 or 4 days, you'll forget how to remember. You'll forget how to pick your thoughts back up again. You'll forget where your mind is actually. Strange thing to say, but there's the side effects of not knowing. Being peaceful, being happy, being empty, free. There is a beautiful, spontaneous innocence inside each human being that has been clouded over by all this stuff we know. Just for a second, if we don't know anything, we can allow that light to shine back through our life. The light that you see in every child, the light that every adult has somehow forgotten. But with that adult wisdom available when we need it spontaneously. So now this exercise is finished. If anyone wants to pick back up their concepts, now is the time. If you don't want to pick them up, just leave them by the door and throw them out with the recycling. I would really urge you just to see what it's like to live from this place, this empty place where everything seems more alive and real somehow and clear. If you pick up some concepts again, don't worry about it. Just drop them when you realize, if you want to. Gradually, you'll find you're less like flypaper for thoughts, and more that there's nothing for them to stick to inside. The simplest and most unappealing thing for all human beings is to not know, and yet it's the highest, the pinnacle of our Would anyone like to share their experience of not knowing, how it feels to not know? Or any questions? Yeah.
Oh, not now.
We'll just move the chair up. Let's just, yeah, so we can hear.
Okay. I like not knowing.
You liked it, yeah?
Yeah.
How did it feel?
Um,
Calm, yeah.
um,
And thoughts may still come in every now and again.
that's the thing I'm going to talk about. Because I've been doing the blank thing, like I was doing quite well. Then something triggered me,
Mhm.
and it was the trigger that is very attached to my pain, so my migraine.
Physical pain.
Yeah, to have pain down the side all the time. But then when something gets triggered, it in an instant, I get a migraine in that area. And I was trying to, because I suppose it's that unconscious that I find it hard to then feel it because it's so instant, and it's trying to get in between the trigger and the instant.
To find the gap between
Yeah.
the pain coming and the resulting feeling inside you.
Yeah, it's just immediate.
Yeah.
And then obviously a bit of resistance comes up then because,
So there's a step forward right there to be able to see that there doesn't seem to be a gap between the trigger and the response. I'm empty, I'm just being blank more and more and more, and then this particular thing happens and suddenly there's all this noise, and there doesn't seem to be a gap where I can stay conscious enough to not pick these thoughts up. Right? So even that, to be able to see that, is a step coming out of it, aren't you?
Okay.
So far it was just happening, perhaps, and then you didn't realise that you'd picked all these thoughts up until afterwards.
Yeah, because my brain sort of went a bit haywire, and it was sort of a mixture. I think a whole load of thoughts and beliefs came up at once, and emotions all at once, and I was just like, I couldn't feel any of it. I was that,
Yeah.
So I went into a bit of a panic then because I thought I've been doing so well.
These things will come to test you in your empty state. They'll come to test you, but they will also come to show you what you still feel deep down. And of course, when it comes to physical pain, there are a lot of assumptions that we have as human beings about pain. So what do you know in that moment? Let's say something's happened and you've suddenly got this intense migraine. The very thoughts that come next are going to be what you're sure about. This is, and I'm going to just give some examples from when I used to have a lot of pain, and it's probably something similar. So this is really bad. It's going to go on for this, and I don't know what to do to get rid of this. I don't know how to cope with this. And variations on that theme. Why is this still happening? There was another one. All these thoughts would come, and anyone that's listening can substitute whatever is going on in their life that triggers thoughts and emotions. Whatever the trigger is irrelevant for actually undoing it. It's really, I'm not saying the migraine is irrelevant. It feels very relevant at the time. But for the purpose of undoing this tsunami of stuff that comes up, it could be any trigger at all, couldn't it? It could be that somebody said, I really don't like you, or something has been said. So what does it mean to you? What are you sure about when this happens? Can you see that there are certain things that you're absolutely sure of? It's going to go on for this long. I know that there's nothing I can do to get rid of it. I know if I try doing this particular thing, it eases it a little bit. I know that this means I've failed spiritually. I know that I'm not good enough because of this. I know that there's a whole spiritual bag on one shoulder. What I know about my spiritual progress based on my migraines and how I handle them, or whatever the situation is. Can you see that? So if to feel really good is to feel empty, to not know, then can you challenge these assumptions ahead of time? Right? And you can go back in your memory and look at what these assumptions are as they come up. You don't actually have to have the migraine to do this.
Yeah, I did actually, because I've got that, I was trying to work out and it jumped from one thing to another memory that reminded me of this sort of the feeling that I had, and then another, and it turns out a few things sort of happened that give me the same sort of feeling.
Yeah. There's
so
usually the main pattern, the main karmic tendency, the main vasana is I'm not good enough. I'm unworthy. And then we'll have all these as the big branch of this tree of I, me, the person. And then off this main branch, there'll be all these other little branches of places in my life where it makes me feel this way. You know,
like a big one for me is that I don't feel cared about, just even though I have people in my life that do, deep down. And then when these sorts of things happen, it very much triggers that nobody cares about me. I don't matter. What I want doesn't matter. What I feel doesn't matter. So that's quite a big thing that comes up.
So to ask, if you know what these assumptions are, most of them will be about you in those moments, about your spiritual progress or lack of. Most of us, when we're on the pathway, most of what we are sure about is how good we're not doing, you know, or how we're failing at this. The fact that this thing has happened is evidence that I'm failing, you know, and that my lack of handling this thing is also evidence that I'm failing at this enlightenment mark, you know. So what if you just don't know that? What if you're not so sure about that? All of these assumptions have got so much emotional charge, energetic charge around them that we just mind offers this, you're not good enough for me. Yep, agreed, you know, sign me up. And we have to then live that experience again and again and again. So to ask the question, is it true? Is that true? Is going to immediately start to undo that energetic charge. Am I really sure? Am I going to really just agree that I know this means fill in the blank? Can you get a sense of it?
Yeah.
If something has a lot of meaning for us, then it's going to have to keep happening so that we can have the same meanings. Because we're so sure that we know those things are true. The moment we don't know if they're true, then automatically we're putting some space between the trigger and our response. We'll be able to see it more when it happens.
So you can do it ahead of time, sort of practice.
I just took a lock, stock and barrel look at my life where it wasn't working. What were the meanings? What was I sure of? Most of them were like back to this, you know, my tree only had one branch and it was, you're not good enough. You suck. The alignment, you know. And it was all these little branches coming off it. The moment I began to question, does that really mean, just because this thing's happening, am I really sure it means I'm not good enough, or whatever, you know, particularly think it means? Because until we're willing to question if it's true, actually, we're saying it is true. We're agreeing.
So when you're asking the question, it's sort of, it undoes sort of inside of you, and then it shows differently outside.
Yes. And the amount of emotion you feel in that moment when it happens will show you just how much you are agreeing with this thought still. And then we have to keep seeing it out there, or in here. Our body is out there to the self, and whichever, you know, so it can play in our body, our finances, our relationships, everywhere usually. But it'll sort of be really quite chronic, playing somewhere, you know, whether it's finances or your body or whatever it is. So just to be willing to ask, is this actually true? I don't know that it's true, is a huge thing. And it will play again a few times just to offer you the choice.
I hate that.
don't look at it as a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you're prepared,
Mm-hmm.
that is the assumption. I'm failing.
Yeah.
If I ahead of time know what my assumptions are going to be, I've written them down, I've looked at them, and I've noticed my tendency to automatically agree with these thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to notice that next time there wasn't so much belief in them, there wasn't so much emotion,
Mm-hmm.
there was a gap,
Yeah.
albeit a small one maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also not going to know that just because it didn't completely vanish the first time
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean I've failed, because there's another assumption.
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to just get rid of all this stuff straight away.
Mm-hmm.
Every being that's walked this planet that woke up has had to do this. These big ones that blow up, you're probably going to need to do it 2 or 3 times
Okay.
until the trigger happens and there's just no response inside, or the trigger just doesn't happen anymore. Either of those is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no meaning at all attached to anything in the end.
Yeah.
No, you're not referencing how you're doing or how you're being
Mm-hmm.
from anything that's happening inside your body or in your world. Your authenticity in your not knowingness state is just obvious.
Yeah.
Why should you suddenly change your mind just because you get a really bad migraine and can't handle it? Does that mean that you suddenly slid backwards in your pathway? Not really, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just notice which ones you're buying. This is really good for everybody to use, isn't it? Like, everybody has something that triggers all these things I'm sure about. Well, 2 minutes before, I don't know anything. I'm just like, oh, next minute, I know. This means I'm failing terribly. Yeah. Can you see? Mm-hmm. What if you're not sure about even that, even though it seems to keep happening?
Mm-hmm.
Can you not be sure about that either? And you'll find a wonderful openness just starts to creep in.
Okay. Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good question.
Would anyone else like to ask a question? Yeah.
I've talked to you about this a bit. Been asking, where am I? Constantly. It's every minute I remember it, I'm asking it.
You're not working too hard with it, are you?
No, it's
So just to recap, was it last Satsang? I can't remember. Some Satsang we did. We looked. Time is a bit. Anyway, we looked at this question, where am I? As a self-inquiry question, didn't we? We really sort of took this, because we all start with this, I know, I really know that I'm somewhere, I'm someone. So you've been taking this, and I'm interested to hear actually, because there are 2 other people I know that have really jumped on this question as well and are having some quite amazing results. There might be more, but I don't know. But
I'm letting the answers come, and on the whole, well, it's not been a lot of mind answers coming. But, it's kind of linked in with who am I as well. But on the whole, it's where am I? And as per usual, in the early hours this morning, it's my spiritual time. It seems to be. Anyway, I think it's because I can't escape. I can't. Well, I could get up and put the telly on, but I tend to let it just happen. Anyway,
you could try doing that in the afternoon.
Yeah, no, I do.
And then you might.
I do. Yeah, but the phone will ring.
I'm joking.
Anyway, so I had this very, very deep seeing where I recognised that there wasn't anywhere to be, and that there wasn't a me to be anywhere.
So there wasn't anywhere for you to be. What does that mean? Can you explain?
There was nothing. There was no thing at all.
So there was no place that you could find,
Yeah.
that you could stand on.
Yeah. Because one of the issues I've had, and I know somebody else has asked this in Satsang before, and I remember listening, right, is that everything I ask, it feels like I'm asking it from here, because this is the body.
From a location in time and space.
Yeah.
There.
And it's how do you not see it from here?
Where is the one that's speaking through that body?
Yeah. Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Well, that's why it feels here. It feels here.
And where is that here?
The immediate answer is in here, my head. At the same time, I know that that isn't the case, and that's what happened in the early hours. It was just, it wasn't a huge wow moment that I've had before, you know, when you first kind of see it, and it was just nothing, and no one, and nothing.
It was just nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then after that, and I recognise now that thoughts came in, but after that, I immediately thought, don't jump on that, because that's just something you've been shown. That's still a phenomenon. And then we have
So you had this revelation, you had this epiphany, and you just kind of let it happen, but didn't cling on to it.
Yeah.
Right.
My question is, if there is a question, how to know, how to be that, because
to be what? Sorry.
That no thing. That how to live as that. Because when you're doing that, just drop it all. You know, it was amazing. I was just floating around the room, really, not literally, but there still seems to be a finish of that, stopping that, and remembering it.
Maybe focus has gone back to the phenomena of thoughts and the body, and a question, but has that changed the one that's asking the question? Has that one, how to live as that, is that a question that's relevant for that nothingness?
No.
So then,
I'm asking it.
does it mean that something's happened to that nothingness? Just if the focus is, for the time we were doing that exercise, the focus, the attention was, the moment we chucked out some concepts, that nothingness became much more obvious to you, that you are. And then we began, you know, questions, we started to ask questions, there was some talking, interaction, focus goes back to the questions, and there's a sense of a questioner that seems to be only here in one location.
I don't want to hear anymore.
What do you mean by here? We have to know this. We have to come to really examine this. It seems like I'm only here. That's the one thing you know, isn't it? I'm here. The one thing that you can guarantee, I'm here.
I would say that every aspect seems to be through here, not through there, or it seems to be from here.
So your evidence for the fact that you're limited being, you're telling me is phenomena of thoughts and a body and everything that happens with a body.
Yeah.
But if you've come to see that you're not the body, you're the one looking through the body. If I said to you, describe what you are, or describe what you can see. You were standing there holding a pair of binoculars and you were looking at something.
Yeah.
Tell me what you can see. You would describe what you're seeing through the binoculars. You would not tell me about the instrument that you're using to look. So I ask you, where are you?
Yeah.
And you reference the instrument. And then you say, well, you're already aware that you're not that.
Yeah.
You're looking through it. You are that too. That's part of you. But so the one that's looking through the body, where is that? Can you say? Is it fixed?
No.
Is it limited? Is it locatable? Can you find it as an object?
No.
To answer this question, we have to discard the phenomenal evidence of our body. So thoughts, experiences, emotions, and just the one experiencing, the one that's knowing. Where is that?
I can hear you, but there's still something.
There's something inside going, do not answer this question because you're going to cross over this bridge into nirvana and never come back. Right? Something inside's going, do not listen at all.
There's also a huge something inside saying, just do it, because you've seen it, you've been it, you are it.
So let me ask you this. Either of those voices, are they talking to you? Do it. And then the other side, on the shoulder, don't, really don't. Are either of those talking to you?
No.
You sound quite sure about that.
I'm scared to be sure.
Is that you too? You know what? Because mind will put this roadblock in front of you. I'm a bit scared to take this final step. Like, here's the gates of nirvana, and we're standing outside going, ooh, right? But is this really your problem? Is the here-ness itself that you said, I am here? What do you mean by I? Do you mean the body or something different? Could that actually mean I am this here-ness? It's what I am. And then, are you scared? Are you blocked? Do you have the angel and the devil on your shoulder? Is any of that relevant? Where precisely are you? So good this. If you don't count your body temporarily, your thoughts that arise in your body, your emotions that arise in your body, the sense of I only here that arises in the body, gone in deep sleep. If you don't count experiences you have through the body, what evidence do you have for your location?
I just want to say what's jumping up and down at me is that the only experience I can tell is what's happening to his body. I don't know, that's not.
Where? Yeah. Where are you? If you don't use any coming and going answers that relate to the body, where are you?
Just none of that matters.
So where are you? Are you locatable somewhere?
Yeah.
If you're not somewhere and yet you're very much here, what's the other option left?
You ask me that again.
You can't find yourself somewhere as a someone, and yet you're here. Where must you be then? Take a moment just to sit with that question. If I'm not somewhere, and yet I very much exist, I know that. Where precisely are you then?
I am the where. I am the. There isn't a. Oh gosh.
Take a minute. Because we're not used to thinking of ourselves this way. We go as far as to say, I can't find a someone, but then we don't take that next step to recognize what that must mean. If I am not somewhere and yet I'm here, there must be that space in which all of this is appearing.
I don't want to say everywhere, because that's not.
It's the closest word in the English language, everywhere.
Yeah, I suppose.
But
yeah.
And actually, the very lived experience is I don't know where I am. I can't tell you at all.
Which is the sensation, well, what happened last night. And I'm finding most of the time I feel I don't belong in the body. It's not, I feel like I'm floating.
Are you in or out of the body?
No, neither.
Those depend on a being, a separate being, don't they? Those ideas. To be embodied or disembodied even. To be in the body, to leave the body, all of that is based on a locatable sense of me. That all has to be thrown out in this not knowing where you are. Where is your mind? Where is your body? We don't really know. There's a body, but it's not my body so tightly anymore.
No, definitely.
Not my mind, not my problems, not my awakening, not my pathway, on and on.
And, when, shopping yesterday felt kind of really spaced out, to say the least. Georgia Astor, and then
mystical experience in the supermarket on Saturday.
Yeah, I just have to,
If all of this will not bother you, if you're willing to kind of admit inside yourself what that means when you can't answer this question, if you can't find a locatable someone, there's definitely a body, seems to be there, it's fine, thoughts, emotions, but there's someone that's all happening to. You never find them, ever. And then, but you are here. It's not that you're absent. You're absent as a someone. You're present as something very, very different.
Yeah. So I don't need to know the answer, do I?
No. If you know the answer, it is separate to you.
Yeah.
If you don't know the answer, you are being it in that moment. Anything that I know will be held separate to me. There'll be an I that knows a separate being. Which is why it feels so good to not know.
Yeah.
You kind of know I'm everywhere. You kind of know there's nowhere I'm not. It's all just very loose knowledge.
Yeah, there's no statements, are there? There's no correct sentences to say to express it.
The closest thing is to be, I don't know at all where I am.
Yeah.
That's a very lived, real experience. That it's not even an experience, it's a continuous, deep knowingness that comes as the end point to this question, in a way, where it's constantly lived that I don't know at all.
I find that I have to concentrate to find knowledge a little bit at the moment.
It's fine to let it all go.
I don't know why I needed the words, but I couldn't remember the name, like traffic warden the other day. It was like
the shift over to not knowing. There could be a few little bumps in the road when we still think we ought to know something.
Yeah.
And to be coming into a situation where we're about to have a conversation with someone and you don't know anything.
Yeah.
So when I'm at the dentist today, something changed in my medical history. They ask me the same question every time that they always do. Has anything changed in your medical? Yes. And then she's waiting. And there's a few second pause.
Yeah. But you relax into it though. You don't worry.
But now there's just a relaxation. These words are going to come. But there's also, I don't really care if I can't answer.
Yeah.
If I'm embarrassed, there'll be a person to be embarrassed. But the knowledge just comes then. The words just come out of you from that emptiness, from that not knowing.
Because I'm finding that, like I said, I really couldn't think of the word traffic warden for whatever it is I needed to say. Yeah. And something else in it was, I had to sit and think, what was it? What's the name of it? Unless
is there someone that's worried about that, or that's experiencing that shift over? Is that affecting the no-thingness that you are? Does it care if you can't remember a concept? Because other things just seem to be happening more naturally, much more naturally. Like getting on and doing stuff, it's just going on. Regardless. So where you're having a challenge will be where you still think you need to know things.
Like traffic wardens.
Traffic wardens need to hold on to some concepts.
Yeah, they're sure. It's quite easy to see them. I'm sure there's some that I'm not aware of, but there's some that I think, well, I'm obviously getting a bit niggled about that, so it must be still.
Yeah. More and more, there's just a trust that in that empty space of our being, whatever needs to be said. And actually, it was quite embarrassing for me when I realised that my body handles my life much better than I did.
Oh yeah.
You know, if I just let it go, do its thing.
Yeah.
It sorts everything out.
Yeah, I feel a lot more relaxed about things. And if I'm not relaxed about something, if there's an effort, I just kind of think, hang on, you don't need to effort. There's nothing.
It's spontaneous and natural. If we were start having a cup of tea, we wouldn't be thinking about what we need to say. We'd just be having a natter over a cup of tea. There wouldn't be any planning at all on what to say. And whatever I said would stimulate something within you, and then vice versa, and it's an organic conversation. Life is just happening like that all the time when you don't know where you are.
I'm finding that situations that I would have been very uncomfortable in are very easy to deal with. Just because I'm not planning, doing, thinking, it just plays out.
So did we answer the question?
I have no idea what the question was.
You don't know what the question was?
No, it was about, I know what it was about, but I don't need the, I don't mean, I don't need the answer. I mean, the answer isn't needed because it isn't really a question, is it? It's about,
everything, you come to that experience the first time of not knowing at all where you are. And it's pretty weird. But the more we get used, it's just because it's reality and the only thing that's ever been real. It's still quite weird the first time we really. I've there's nobody inside this body for the first time. There's just a body, and there's nobody in it.
Yeah, that's how it feels. I feel. I don't want to say separate to the body because that's too, but it feels like this isn't me.
It's not mine anymore. It's not me. It's the first knowing. And then the second knowing is it's not mine either.
Yeah, I mean, it still functions the same. I'm still eating.
It functions a lot better, actually.
Yeah.
So once you've got used to that, it's a little weird at first. Once you've got used to that, then anything that arises as a problem afterwards is going to be for someone.
Yeah.
How do I handle this switch over?
Yeah.
How do I see clearer? How do I live from this place? It's not an issue for that nothingness. Is there any problem you could have? Let's fast forward 100 satsangs from now. Is there any answer I'm going to give you that's going to be different than that? Do you have any problems?
No. And there is a knowing that there isn't a problem. But there still seems,
Time to time something will pop up. I know there is a problem.
Yeah.
You just don't pick it up so much or at all. Yeah.
So I'll throw it back then.
Yeah. Very good. Anyone else like to? Got time for one more quick one? Yep.
Oh.
We'll come to you next, So we've got time.
Can I sit in my chair? Hi. I love that meditation that we did, a guided meditation. It was fantastic. I got a sense of that, and I'm kind of going through an interesting personal thing at the moment. Somebody very close to me tried to take their own life a few weeks ago, which I only found out about on Friday. And but it hasn't affected me the way I guess it probably would have done in the past, bizarrely. But it's just an observation. It's really interesting how the ego is. Well, if this person, obviously where I'm at and all these things, it's all just sort of a training ground, or it's not really happening. And I don't feel sort of a connectedness to this, but I still feel like there's part of me that wants to get drawn into the drama.
Yeah, there's a conversion going on.
Yeah.
Some of you are still wanting to
It's not
go
even
there.
that. It's just like it's just I guess I feel kind of guilty that I'm not getting sucked into it. It's
The last place that your mind, well, one of the last places that your mind will really pitch a tent is, how can you not well, I'll tell you how it was for me. There was beings in my life that were really close to me that were going through something horrendous, absolutely horrendous, and still I was peaceful. And then I was going through something horrendous, and still I was peaceful. And this little voice that became very loud said, you're getting too detached. You're not going to care about anyone. It's not right that you should feel peace when everyone around you is suffering. And it's the mind's last trump card. How are you going to care and love these people if you are not empathizing with them? That's where it really sort of plays, isn't it? It's almost like you should feel guilty because you don't feel guilty. Mind is saying, or you should feel guilty because you're not suffering.
It's kind of, but it's also clinical as well, because I'm trying to find out what to do, what the right thing to do is without being powered by emotion.
So question,
do you know what I mean?
What would love do in this situation? What would truth do in this situation really helped? Recognizing that the less we're suffering inside ourselves, the clearer the action, the outcome, the higher the action, the outcome, the words that will come out of you can happen from that clear space. Exactly the right thing that needs to be said, or not saying anything, or not doing anything, or doing something in particular. All of that will just unfold from that not knowingness. When you don't know what to do in a situation like that, it can feel really quite bad, because we're conditioned that we should know what to do, especially to look after our loved ones, beings close to us. If you can recognize, maybe I don't have to know ahead of time. If I do need to do something, it will just happen. Or if I need to say something, it will happen. And then there's a space then for some higher action or inaction, whichever wants to happen, will just arise in that space. It's the one place in our life where the not knowingness feels uncomfortable for us, isn't it? I should know. I should know what to do. I should be equipped to deal with emergencies. But if you look at every emergency that's happened in your own life, you've just acted spontaneously through it. Like, we lose a loved one, we have no idea how we're going to get through that at all. And yet we do, moment to moment. And all of life is happening that way, isn't it? So you recognize it's just these certain areas of our life where the conditioning to know is still a little bit stronger. It's usually around those that we love and care for, or we feel responsible for, or all of the above, that where we feel we have to know to be a good person or a good being, to be the best being, we need to know. It's just turning around that conditioning, maybe just letting go of all ideas about how to handle a situation, not knowing at all what to do with it, just admitting I have no clue, and letting that sink a bit deeper. Then something is going to come out of that, out of that empty space of your being, which is the love. It's going to be a very different. And most of what we know anyway, what we know we should do, it backfires anyway. If we look at our history, I was sure this is the right thing to do, and actually it really wasn't. Or something. And your body will absolutely do whatever you need to, you know, to handle any situation. Clearer, more clarity, more openness, more energy, more to handle anything. You get a sense of that?
Yeah, definitely.
Something just go, don't cross this finish line, like the previous question. Don't go, this is a bit too, this is one step too far to go through. You know, mind is saying it's not right somehow to live your entire life from a place of peace and bliss when someone around you is in deep fear or despair, or you know, you shouldn't be feeling blissful in that situation. There's a really deep conditioning inside us, isn't there? And I hit it myself. And then I thought, well, actually, I came to see the best thing to do for that being is to be so totally blissed out and peaceful, absolutely present. It begins to seep out of me into their experience, you know, in that moment when they really, really need it. What is my fear or suffering going to give them? It's just going to add to their burden in that moment. And it's normal. It's like mind can't perceive or understand that the highest actions and the most purest love for every being is going to come from that empty space where we're not clinging on to knowledge. So it says, you know, don't cross this line here. You know, you can't really be at peace all the time. I mean, that's just not possible, mind says. And even if you could, you shouldn't be. You know, why do you deserve to feel good when everyone else is feeling bad? Is that going to help them? Not really. Not at all, actually. You'll just notice it come up a few times inside your being. There were a few times where I remember this voice going, "Ooh, you shouldn't really be peaceful when someone's passing away, or when someone's really struggling, or when someone, you know, fill in the blank." But actually, what's the best way to help someone in this situation? Is to be that presence, to be radiating that presence so completely that you're filling the room with it, that person is in, that they're soaking it up like a sponge, whether they're conscious of it or not.
It's all coming from self-inquiry, actually. I've just realised that it's very much part of my identity with this person. It is very much that. So, yeah.
We are trained as human beings to believe deeply that there are certain places in our life that we're never going to feel happy with certain people, and that even if we do, we're doing something wrong. You know, that we shouldn't be feeling good in this particular area of our life. And some of the deepest condition I had to go past was this type of thing towards the end. That the last, you know, ego's completely fallen apart. It's just its little foundation. You know, the foundations of the ego are standing, nothing on top of it anymore, but just these support foundations. And one of them is, you know, don't cross this line, or else you won't be a human being anymore. You won't care. You'll be cold. You can sort of see it,
Very much so.
And just go around it. But so let me see if that's true, or if I'm not actually more effective, more loving, more open, more caring, more time, more energy, more patience for this person, more understanding, all of that from that emptiness. And you absolutely deserve to feel good all the time. We all do. And some of us have to set that example first. Or all of us that can, you know. Just don't walk around going, man, I'm so high. You know, when somebody's really upset.
I've got high before, definitely.
It'll come out spontaneously. You wouldn't say that anyway. You know, it'll be appropriate for whatever that person is feeling. If they're really suffering, it'll come more as compassion and love than bliss. You know, a real strong presence. It'll move that way. Very good.
Thank you.
Some good questions tonight. No pressure.
No pressure.
Match that.
I got a wee bit excited earlier.
You got excited?
I did, yeah.
Is that a rare thing for you?
No, it was cool actually. So I love that exercise that we did. Because it
Just ignore the hecklers at the back.
it really reminds me when I first kind of found meditation, because I didn't know what I was doing. So I used to just sit and just.
It's ironic, right? We all start off in Satsang at this very place that we've gone to tonight, not knowing a clue about why we're here, what Satsang is or anything, awakening, all of that.
Yeah. So it was quite kind of a reminder, I used to just sit, I didn't know what I was doing, I was finding all this peace.
And it was great.
Yeah, it was cool.
Quite peaceful.
But what I really got excited about when you were talking to Maggie, I had this kind of big, kind of like wow kind of moment, which I don't normally get from that. Because I've always like when she was talking about, I've always kind of thought or believed that, so I'd look within and not find something here.
Not find someone
in the body.
Yeah.
So even though I know I'm here, I couldn't find that where it was.
Yeah.
But it kind of really tweaked that. That really, if you really, I was confining my search to the area of my body. So when you say that you can't find where you are, that means you don't know where you are, if you know what I mean. I'm not explaining that very well, am I?
Say that one more time.
If you, I thought I was kind of looking, when I looked within, I wasn't finding anything, but it was very much confined to, I'm not finding anything within my body.
Right.
Identified as me. I know I'm here because I'm here.
Yeah.
But I was confining it almost to this localized area.
Yeah.
So even though I was saying, I can't find myself, I don't know where I am, but I know I'm here. But it was all like, and you're doing the same from over there, right? And people doing it from wherever they are.
Yeah, go on, I'll give you that one.
But what it really means is that I can't find where I am anywhere, rather than just not here. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Wherever you look, you can't find anything.
Yeah.
You don't find anything.
Yeah.
Wherever you look for yourself.
Yeah. But the trouble is, I was so sure when I had that moment that I felt like, well, I've just done this exercise saying I don't know. And now I'm saying I'm sure I do know.
What were you sure you know?
I'm sure that I know that I don't know where I am.
Wait a minute, let me. You're sure that you don't know?
I'm sure I don't know.
Right.
Where I am. But saying that means I'm sure. But I've just done this exercise saying I don't know.
Well, let's simplify this. Would you let me just simplify this a little bit? Is that okay?
Okay.
So I can't find, if I look for myself, I can't find a someone in a place and a locatable object, a thing that is me. There's a body, but I can't find anyone in it. But so mind automatically concludes it's only got two options, mind, hasn't it? It says present or absent as a someone. Very much absent as a someone. But so mind can't take that next step. Well, mind equates, all it can do is existence or non-existence. Existence as a someone or absence. Of course, there is a third option, luckily, before we all get annihilated. There is existence as the subjective self, the subjectivity itself, right? That formless awareness, that vast emptiness of our being. I found this new word this week. I've been watching too much sci-fi, but the expanse of our being, right? The expanse of our being. I really just love that. So we can't find a someone that's locatable. And for a long time, consciousness stops there. It says, I'm not someone. but it hasn't actually fully hit it what that means, has it? Like, oh my God, if I'm not somewhere and I am here, when that hits you what that means, it's very much wow. Because even when we come to recognize I'm not an object, we're still sometimes so hypnotized by things and phenomena or objects that our attention can't even go that next step and recognize, or our beingness can't even go that next step and recognize what that actually means. If I'm not somewhere in the universe, in this space that everything is appearing in, if I'm not right somewhere inside my body, usually, into or some people have outside my body experiences, they'll play around with a sense of being somewhere, then that only leaves one other option, and that is that all of this is me. When that really, really hits, it's like, wow. And you get excited. And it's a game changer, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think I've noticed that before.
What problems can remain for you then? Because your sense of self, your sense of who you are, has just had a massive upgrade. In the next few days, this is going to hit you and quite shock you. Wow. And then, wow. And then, I've never been somewhere, ever. Actually, like, ever. Even though I still seem to be somewhere, I'm not actually somewhere, because every time I look, I can't find it. That means I'm everywhere. That when that really hits you, what problems can you take into that state, into that realization? None of them. All of our suffering is based on being somewhere. My thoughts, my mind, this zooming into one particular body, my body. Not this one, just that one there, excluding everything else in that someoneness, aren't we? The entire rest of the universe is excluded in this being someone. And even when we're seeing I'm not someone, it still hasn't been allowed fully into the heart of our being, into the heart of our knowingness, what that really means. When it hits you, it's oof. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, but it is a shock. I've never really understood what that meant until if I'm not an object, then I must be the entire space in which all objects are appearing. Because I'm not absent, that much I know. I'm here. And what you mean when you say I'm here goes from I am here, i.e. referencing a body, to I am here. Here is what I am. And how far does here reach? If you set off walking now to the end of the universe, when you got to the end of the universe, it'd still be here, wouldn't it? And it'd still be now. If there was an edge. And even if there was an edge, outside the universe would still feel like here. And it is practically mind-blowing.
I'm really glued to your conversation, Maggie. Really.
Because something suddenly has lost inside our being this loyalty to phenomena. Something, even the greatest seeing of all, people go, yeah, I can't find myself. And it's like, you don't know what that means. And they go, yeah, I can't, I'm not a someone. And they go right back to their someone problems. Because it hasn't hit. And it's the same for all of us, but when it does hit, wow, what does it mean to not be a phenomena, an object, a someone, a thing? What does it mean to live like that? You get to discover. It's wonderful that you've let this hit you, wash over you, because it will destroy your ability to suffer at all, completely, ever. And it'll go back into your history and you'll realize I've never suffered at all. I was sure I was, but if I'm not a someone now, I've never been.
Yeah.
You can see how the being gets hypnotized by the appearance of a body and thoughts, and me and mine are very closely guarded concepts. My thoughts, my mind, my life, my relationships, my awakening. You can't hear anything I'm saying right now.
It's
Can you?
a little bit blurry.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Very good. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Yeah.